I've never seen it do that before.
No. If we say inappropriate stuff, it'll probably count down while we're not paying attention.
Yeah. It's exactly what would happen. Exactly what would happen. Oh, come on. See, I can't even press anything once it starts doing that, as you know.
Yep.
All right, let's make sure this other one's off the Wi-Fi. Turn off Wi-Fi there. We tried simulator, something failed. Please reload the page and try again. Oh, I can reload without losing you, though, surely.
I think so. If not, I'll just jump back in.
Come on. All right, reload.
I've lost you.
Oh, we're back.
There you're back. I was going to say, then it comes up live and you're gone. I'm like, hi.
And it's just number 2 on the screen.
Ah.
I'll just try pressing it. It just changed it to 7:15, but I'll just try pressing it again. We might just be stuck with a 2 there, a 3-2.
Oh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of the Passion Project with Jess. I'm your host, Jess Pollis, and this week for episode 13, we have Johnita Francis from Sydney, who is a natural-born psychic medium and also a transformational mentor. Hello, Johnita. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. And yourself?
Very well, thank you. Feeling all professional with streaming in multiple places and all this technical crap.
I feel like you're in the Matrix. More ways than one.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Episode 13, good on you.
Beg your pardon?
Episode 13, good on you.
I know, and it's gone so quickly. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. 13 is my favourite number.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Does it have meaning to you, number 13?
No, I think it's great.
You just think it's a great number. And what about your exciting news for today? After 6 weeks, you got your baby back. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, yes. I booked my motorcycle in to do a couple of little tiny tweaks. 6 weeks later, I finally get her back. And if you're a rider, you will realise that you've basically given up a spleen and a kidney when you don't have your baby with you. My kidney and my spleen have been given back to me. So this is a good thing. Tomorrow, it might take me 5 hours to ride to work. It might take me 5 hours to ride home.
Go out there and get lost on your baby.
Exactly right.
That's awesome. So how about, where did you want to start? Well, actually, what are you passionate about?
Oh, gosh, motorbikes. This is the hardest bloody question in the world. And I'm not even taking the piss. It is legitimately a hard question because when you're little and your parents say, okay, you're going to learn the piano, and you go to piano lessons and you turn up every single week to piano lessons, you learn that piano and you're so bloody good at it, and then everyone thinks you're going to be a classical pianist for the rest of your life. And then one day you go, but is that what I'm really passionate about? Is it because I'm good at it, because I've created a condition, because you've conditioned yourself to going and doing it, or do I legitimately love it? And this is the thing that I eat, sleep, breathe, and shit every single day of my life, this bloody piano. And so I've had this huge dilemma over my entire lifetime of what is my passion, because I love so much. Like, I really love lots of different things. I think for me, if I had to use like one word or one sentence to describe what my passion is, it would probably be humans.
I love it.
Because you're fascinating little shits, aren't you? All of you. You've got these weird little idiosyncrasies. You do crazy stuff. You go about your merry way, getting all these lessons and journeys and destinations, and just everything about you is just so delicious. And then you come across my path and it's like, oh, this is happening and that's happening. And I'm just sitting here going, oh, my God, do you realize where you've come from? Like, you push shit up a hill in a one-legged bloody wheelbarrow your entire life, and you're sitting here going, am I doing this right? Damn straight you're doing it right. I love humans. I love them. Yeah, I think my passion is humans.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So passion to me is something that can grow and change as we do. It's usually something that has to do with our natural gifts, so the things that we're naturally good at that we were born with. For me, it's talking. I just talk and talk and talk. And as I said, it grows and changes with you as we do. Some people do have the same one all the way through their lives. Some people don't. So I guess the question probably better is, what are you passionate about now? And you've said humans. I can understand why you love humans. We are fascinating. We make life a lot more harder than it needs to be, don't we?
Look, you can overcomplicate stuff. You can overcomplicate stuff. But I have a man brain, so I tend to undercomplicate stuff. So, it's black, it's white. If you don't like it, pee on it, walk away. So it's very, very simplistic way of living. But humans are fascinating. And I listen to, like you touched on it just before about, people sometimes can have the same passion their entire lifetimes. And I think, wow, like there's some people that I know that just knew that they were going to do this when they were 4 years of age. And I'm just like, that's just so freaking cool. Because at 4 years of age, I was eating dirt and possibly my own poo. So this is brilliant that you already had this vision. I mean, how powerful is that? Well, you listen to, rappers or musical people or anybody in the world, and they're like, yeah, when I was 12, I saw this. And then it was just like downloaded in my brain that that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I just think that's absolutely amazing. Like that's just wow. But some days I think I'm going to do this to help humans, or I'm going to do this to understand humans, or I'm going to do this to understand me. But the common thread throughout my life has been human behaviors, how they get triggered, their reactions, their ability. Okay, this is the one thing I've learned in my bloody career of whatever it's been. How old am I now? So about 20-something, 28 years of doing what I do. You all underestimate your tenacity, your intelligence, and your ability to be resilient. You all do that. That is the one common thing. Nothing else. All your skin color is different, or your eye colors are different, or your smells are different. Everything's different. But every single one of you underestimate your greatness and what you bring to the table. And that's what I love to point out and poke you with.
Do you think that's because... Yeah. So do you think that's because a lot of us look at those people that have those passions, or we're just going to call them passions, that's what I call them, from 4 years of age, as you were saying, or actors and other people that look like they're all doing it right, and we go, shit, I wish I was talented. Because that's my belief. And the problem is, for some people, it isn't as clear cut. And as you said, we underestimate ourselves. We underestimate our own gifts and our own talents and our own intelligence and what we're good at. And we're too busy sometimes looking at other people going, I'm going to try and do it exactly like them. And then I'm going to wonder why it's not going to work for me.
And you see that time after number, especially with people duplicating or mimicking. It works for this person, so I'm going to give it a go, and it's going to work for me. But the passion and commitment is going to be different because that's their idea, it's their baby, and you might have the identical business model or methodologies to apply to something, but it's going to go kaput or they're going to go kaput, whoever doesn't have that same commitment and focus on what that outcome is. And the outcome will be slightly different for everybody because everybody's got a different emotional investment in everything that they do. So yeah, but you all do it. You all underestimate how freaking cool you are.
Yeah, that's true. So when do you think you first become, because where do I want to start? I mean, it's your episode, so you can take it wherever you like, but where am I going to start?
You can just mute me. So you got the power. You can mute me, so you got the power.
I'd never do that. So how about, so you're a natural born psychic medium and also a transformational mentor.
Yeah.
They're pretty amazing things, and you would definitely have to be interested in human behavior, but you've obviously, since you were very, very young, witnessed certain things and watched certain things happen and have certain things happen. So you've learned a lot about trauma as well and how other people can move forward and why people behaved in certain ways.
Yeah, absolutely. All of the above. Tick, tick, tick.
Yeah.
Look, I won't bore you to death because it's just crappy
Oh,
story.
no, I don't think you could. I don't think you could. I've been so excited for your story all week.
It was a balmy night in Greece. No, it was. Look, I truly believe that we come into this plane, this earthly existence, with a very clear set of what we want to achieve. And we do that at the soul level, and it's a soul contract. And the astrology chart, in particular, our natal chart, kind of like alludes to that. It tells us, okay, you're going to do this, and this is going to be how you're going to communicate, and you can grow that, you can stay stagnant, or you can branch out and learn some other ways. And when I chose my earth transportation apparatus, and I call them that because they're not parents, they're not even close to being parents. They did transport me to earth, and they are the apparatus in which I got to earth, and that's about as close as I got. I actually chose two very young souls, and two very selfish people, two very abusive people, two very toxic people, and two very toxic people got together, and they did the funky monkey, and here I am. So I was born into a very dysfunctional family, and I was not wanted from the get-go, and that was pretty obvious because they had the funky monkey at a drunken party. So, I'm the bastard child. And obviously I was not liked right from the get-go. And that's fine. And I'm sitting here laughing about it because I was a kid. I'm not the adult. So I didn't have a choice in what's going on, but I do have a choice in how I allow that to consume me or power me or motivate me, or I can live in the past and be angry and bitter and resentful about it, or I can go, you know what, I'm here. So what? Not everyone has a great flight from Sydney to Melbourne. I didn't have a great flight coming here, so it doesn't matter. Then I actually thought that I got all my nurturing, all my kindness, all my gentleness, all my protection from spirit. I didn't get it from those two people at all. So for me to, when normal babies are born, whatever normal means, they learn nurturing and loving and kindness and gentleness from mum or dad, or preferably, and for the very, very lucky people, they get it from both. I didn't get that at all, so I got it from spirit. So the trust that a normal baby has in their parents and their human parents is from the get-go, whereas I didn't have that. So I had that in spirit. So when everyone's talking about, you just trust and let go, and how do you trust the messages coming through, they've never lied to me. Humans have been deceitful, betraying, abusive, cruel, horrible, horrible human beings to me. Spirit never did. So for me, it was really easy to trust spirit. Humans took me a very, very long time to trust, And even now, I'm still quite cautious with who I allow into my private circle because of that. And it's got absolutely nothing to do with that person at all. It's got everything to do with me making sure that my boundaries are adhered to, because every possible thing that you could think could happen to a child, that just my lifetime. That was my first 7-year narrative. So psychic medium, absolutely. Because of that, I trusted them to get me through. I had those conversations with them every single day of my life. And I saw them do some amazing things that would make me giggle and take me on little astral journeys, so I wouldn't be in my body while certain things were happening. And that's great, because now I don't have post-traumatic stress disorder or childhood post-traumatic stress disorder, because I don't actually have any physical emotion attached to that, because my soul went down to Walmart while my body stayed at home and did whatever happened. So the transformational stuff is because through all of that shit, I'm still here. And they didn't break me. They do not have that kind of power. And for me to come into the world being absolutely hated, going what I went through, picking shit relationships, which were the best lessons, because I learned exactly how not to behave in relationships and exactly how not to be. Tough lessons, really tough lessons for some of them. But I'm here, and I love what I get to do now. And I don't feel shame or embarrassment or anything, because I was a little kid. And then as I got older, I was mimicking what I thought life was all about. I was living in that condition. And it was only when I sat down and I was just in a terrible, terrible place. I had no friends. My partner was very abusive in every single way, just horribly abusive person. And he had the earth transportation apparatuses wrapped around his finger. He got in the car one night. He beat me with a stiletto shoe, and left me in a terrible, terrible state. And then he jumped in the car and went to their house and told them that I had beaten myself. Thanks for that. Unfortunately, those pair of idiots believed every word he said and tried to have me admitted to a mental institution. That was not the case at all. So I said, you know what? That's right. I'm losing my marbles, so I'm going to have a holiday. Maybe my marbles are where I'm going on my holiday. I'll be back in 5 days. Well, fuck me. That was a number of years ago now, and I've never been back, and I've never had anything to do with any of them ever since. So that's where I get my transformation mentor from, because no matter what life chucks at you, you have the mindset, you have the power. You've just got to claim it back and stand up and say that's enough now, and learn about boundaries and want more for your life. And people can I've had everything taken from me. I've had $1 million businesses. I've had lots of wealth, physical wealth, financial, monetary wealth. I've had, amazing experiences in my life. But the best part is when you sit down and you analyze what's going on. Am I going to be in the right place? I would give all that up again. I'd just go through all of that shit, because my life now is so much richer. I have this beautiful husband who is just ticks every single box that you could ever have asked for in a person. I have the most amazing friends. I have the most amazing life because I chose not to stay in that ordinary life that I was in before. I chose to be extraordinary. I chose to have an extraordinary mindset and to move away from all of that. And it had not been easy. I can tell you now, okay? It's not roses.
No, I wouldn't guess so.
No. And even as an adult, because you repeat patterns until you learn. And, the first guy I thought it was a mirror image of what I grew up with. And that came to a grinding halt. And the second guy was very emotionally manipulative. And I thought, oh, God, here we go again. When am I going to wake up to this shit? So I did some more work on myself, and luckily he cheated on me, so I got to arsehole him pretty quickly. And the third guy, he was abusive in a different style, though. He would give me the silent treatment, which I used to get a lot as a child because I didn't have any value. So when he started ignoring me, it triggered a lot of childhood trauma. And instead of being angry with everybody like I was when I was little, I started understanding about directional anger and what that looks like and what that means. And it means that, hey, you buddy, you pissed me off, so you're going to cop it, not everybody else that's in the vicinity. So I've grown a lot when it comes to that sort of stuff. And I wouldn't take back any of those lessons at all, because now I can sit here and go, you know what, I'm in a very powerful position because I know that I went through all of that, and I'm still sitting here and I'm still smiling and I'm still kicking goals every single day. And, I'm sitting here with you on the passion project, and life is awesome. Life is awesome. So people can take all that stuff away from you, your material wealth, everything. But the one thing that they can't take, the one thing you have to hand over is your integrity. And that is one thing over my fucking dead body that I will ever hand over. My integrity stays with me. And that's the one thing that I've come to through everything.
That's fantastic. That's amazing.
43 years in a nutshell.
See? I thought that was interesting. I loved it. You're good at getting there in your story. And you've been given all these tools, right? This is the way I heard it. Definitely not an easy way. I'm not saying it was easy at all. You've been given all these tools, and now obviously you've seen spirit. You've witnessed and been at the hands of some absolutely horrible behaviour. You've been given all these tools. You've been thrown on a crossroads and gone, are you going to go that way or that way? Are you going to stay in victim, or are you going to take these tools that you've learned and become empowered and go out and do potentially what you're here to do?
Yep, victim or warrior, baby. It will always be the warrior. every time.
And would you say, what was going on in your life when, with your last abusive partner, before everything started to, I mean, I know it doesn't happen overnight, because for me, when my life started to get better, it's sort of been a period between 2012 and now. Now I can finally see it. But now that you're looking back, what do you think was starting to change so you didn't keep repeating those patterns? Did you start working with other people after working on yourself?
I've always worked with other people. That was my go-to. So my first professional reading or paid reading was when I was 16 years old. So I've always worked with people. I've never stopped doing that. I've had to be quiet about it because some people didn't want me to do that. But you know what? But I've always had that. I've always been interested. So, but I think there were some defining moments in my life where I've just gone, that's enough. When I was about 15 years of age, I had the same boyfriend from 10 through to 27, almost 27 years of age. And when I was about 15, the female earth transportation apparatus actually told him a great big fat porcupine lie. And I have a hearing loss. And I don't even know why I was in this particular spot when I overheard her tell him the lie. I shouldn't have even been in that room, like, let alone hear the conversation, because the window was shut as well. But I heard every word that she said, and it was complete and utter bullshit. And I remember thinking to myself, and my usual mode would be go out there and throat punch her. But I didn't. This time I stood there and I thought, and it was like Tetra, you know, where all the colors just line up. And it was, for me, it was like, she's a compulsive liar. My entire life's been a lie. Well, shortly after that I found out that my grandfather, who apparently passed away from cancer, actually shot himself. That's a doozy lie. I'd been lying to everybody at school. I'd raised money for cancer research based on the fact that my grandfather had passed away from cancer. So I had also contributed to lying to the community unwillingly. I didn't have a clue that I was lying about this because of the stories I'd been told. And when I heard her say that, it was like an aha moment. And there should have been anger, because her whole agenda was to separate me from my boyfriend. She didn't want him in my life, or she didn't want me to have a boyfriend. I don't know. She's a very jealous, bipolar weirdo. And when I heard that, everything lined up, and I'm like, okay, that was a defining moment for me, because I moved out when I was 16. As soon as I ran the police station, told them that I was being abused, they didn't give a shit. So I found out from a counsellor that in Queensland at that point you had to be 16 and they could not legally make you go back. So sayonara, off I toddled.
See you fuck later.
See you fuck later. Next defining moment, I suppose, was when I was sitting at the front and I just had enough. I was about 25, I suppose, maybe 26, almost 26. And I'd had enough of being on the receiving end of his abuse, them not listening to me, having no support, having nothing, working my ass off constantly and getting, you know, we had lots of money, had investment properties, had a big house we lived in, all that bullshit that you think is important. But my life was miserable. And I went to the doctor and he gave me antidepressants, and I did not take the antidepressants, but I was sitting out the front of the chemist with the script in my hand, crying my eyes out. And this beautiful man came out called Owen, very young, I don't know, about the same age as me. And he told me that I have all the makings to be an extraordinary person. They were his exact words. And I remember them, and I will remember that man's face for the rest of my life, because that was a defining moment. And it was the next day that I went for a holiday, 5-day holiday, and never went back. So thank you, Owen. I always thank Owen. I will never, ever forget you. And then pretty much when I busted my son's father cheating on me, that was a defining moment, because I looked at him, because I told him going into the relationship, if you cheat on me, I'm out. I've been cheated on. I'm not having that. If you can't have integrity in this relationship, I'm done. I don't care what we've got. I'm out. Mm-hmm. And when he was Facebook chatting this woman who had been a personal friend of his for many years, but he had assured me he had nothing to do with it. And I jumped on the computer and saw his name, and he had a very unusual name. And then I thought, well, really weird, like, this robot chat thing. I didn't have a clue because I'm not tech savvy. And then all this stuff came up, and they'd been playing silly buggers for quite some time. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, right? So I scrolled it. I'm very, very smart. And hopefully he sees this video plus another one I did on him. And I was very, very smart. And I scrolled it all the way back down to the bottom. And then I went and got him out of bed and said, you need to come and explain this to me. Well, the lies that came out of that man's mouth were amazing. I actually should stand up and give him a standing ovation. To this day, unless he's seen my other video, he had never known that I read the entire thing. So I know that every porcupine he told me at that moment was a major porcupine. And when I listened to his lies, I was standing there thinking, I'm done. This is it for me. And I said to him, did you think I was joking? And that was it. I checked out of the marriage. Done.
And that's fair enough. That's your boundaries. That's
it. You don't treat, so even if you don't like someone, you say to them, look, it's just not working out. You don't mistreat someone or devalue them to the point that you'll start having an intimate relationship or an emotional relationship or a physical relationship with somebody else, especially when you've got a 2-year-old child. So that was a defining moment. And number 3, well, he broke up with me via Facebook by asking another girl out. So he still didn't talk to me. He's still giving me the silent treatment. But yeah, that's how he parted ways with me. So I think at that point, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm a all right sort of person. And I think that I'm doing pretty well for myself. I've been through all of this shit. There's got to be more to life. I looked around and I did the normal thing. You know how we all hate men because it's every man's fault. I did that. I went through that. It's not every man's fault. And they're not all.
I remember that.
Oh my God. It's like, I hate all of you men. I didn't let my armpits grow hairy or anything, but it was pretty bloody close for a while there. It was pretty bloody close. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I've got a lot to give. And I might be a little bit of a rough diamond, and I might, swear like a sailor and, want to do boy things and, eat dirt, not so much poop anymore. I've grown through that. You'll be happy to know. But I want to get out there and enjoy life and experience things. And I'd really love a companion to do that with. And I knew that I wasn't that way inclined. So I had to make friends with boys again. And I looked around and my girlfriends were dating beautiful men. And some of my guy friends were dating beautiful men. And these same people have beautiful fathers and uncles and grandfathers. And I'm thinking, well, they're out there. Like, they're out there. So what am I doing that's attracting the shitholes of society? And they were shitholes. They're abusive people. So, what is it about me? Because none of these guys had the same ethnical background. None of them looked the same. None of them were the same age. None of them all drove a certain type of car. There was nothing linking them to each other. I didn't even have a type, okay? One was bald and had a fat belly. Another one was hairy and on the chubby side. Another one was drop dead gorgeous, but just going bald on top and hairy everywhere else, So I kind of didn't have a type. So I'm thinking the only type here is me. So I need to look at me. What am I missing? What am I doing to attract these types of people? And a lot of people don't ask themselves that question. And if you don't ask yourself that question and really think about it, then you will just attract the same type of relationship. They'll just have a different face, or they'll just have a different body. And it took me a number of years to work that out. So by the time number 3 came along, I was like, fucking, you're out. I'm not putting up with this shit. I'm not putting up with it from you. And I loved him very deeply, but I had to love me more. So see you later. Then I went off and learned about astrology. And incidentally, I went for a reading with somebody else just because I was in an emotional bluff. And I thought somebody else might be able to not spin the responses quite. they wouldn't have that emotional
attachment.
Yeah, thank you, to the outcome. So I thought, okay, I'll go along and have a reading. And she said to me, I'd like to give you a gift. And I thought, here we go. What's the gift? I'm hexed or I'm cursed and I have to pay her $500 for her to take it off of me. And she said, no, I'd like to introduce you to a man called Peter Whitewood. And I think you'll like him. And I'm like, oh my God, she's matchmaking. And then I realized that Peter Whitewood's old enough to be my dad, and he's actually an astrotherapist, and he uses astrology and your natal chart and your progress chart and your relocation charts to actually get a blueprint of where you are in your life, why you behave the way you behave, what we can do to work through it, and how we can rewrite that narrative of the first 7 years so that we can actually set you up to have a different view. So if you think about this, we're both on the same bus. I look out one window and I see sunshines and sunflowers. You look out the same bus, but you look out a different window and you see doom and gloom.
Mm-hmm.
So what Peter did was change the doom and gloom. I actually like the mud. Anyway, that aside, I digress. But Peter taught me to change the narrative from the mud and the doom and the gloom to the sunflowers and the sun and, you know, the pretty side of the bus. And he did that through using his deep understanding of astrology and being able to use that, talking about me as an individual. And for me to go to my first session with Pete, I actually had to go to a strange man's house. I had to go through his back garden gate. I had to go past another strange man's house because he lives out the back of Pete's house. And I had to walk through the back of Pete's house to get to the session room, which was way down the front of the house of a concrete jungle where I had no escape measures. I nearly vomited going to this man's house because I was absolutely terrified. I thought I was going into the wolf's den.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got there and he opened the door and he said, "Hello there." And I'm like, "I'm safe. It's okay. I'm all right. I can get through this. This is where I'm supposed to be." And I had 7 sessions with him. And then they started on the 1st of January. No, sorry, I beg your pardon, 2nd of January, 2014. He had reset everything about me, reset everything. He had given me all the tools I needed to be able to do the work. It was up to me to shift my mindset. It was up to me to understand me and to do the homework. I did that because I did not want to date another abuser. I did not want to live like that. And I didn't want my son to live like that or to learn those behaviors where still and do it to somebody else. And on at the 28th of May 2014, so 4 months later, I laid eyes on my husband for the very first time. So it works.
It's with
another pivotal point in my life.
With our partners, I won't name them. I'm not going to go into all that. Anyway, don't worry about that. With our partners, I think the people that we're supposed to be with, it's like they're just sitting there, their higher self sitting there going, "Are they ever going to be ready?" And our higher self's like, "Oh God, can we please get our shit together and deal with this?"
I think my guardian angel's an alcoholic. He's like,
so I think
what's she doing now? For God's sake. Yeah.
So I think it's really perfect that you turn to yourself and went, you know, instead of blaming everyone else and falling into, again, the victimhood, you turn to yourself and went, how are we going to change this to get to here? What are we going to do to go from A to B? Yeah. And it's very much the same with your passion and what we're here to do. Understand that it is going to change at this, but also at the same time that we have to be willing to get to know ourselves in order to find it. And, you know, something I don't talk too much about is also dancing with our dark side, the side of ourselves that we don't really like and we like to hide from everyone, including ourselves, but still pokes its head through occasionally anyway. We have to uncover that and we have to look at it and we have to get almost childlike if we're looking for our passion and go, what do I feel like doing today? And or why am I going through this? Or why did I do this? Get to know yourself.
Yep. How will we ever know how brightly we can shine if we don't bring forward the darkness?
That's right.
Because nothing can have that contrast, haven't you? And
nothing can exist without the yin and the yang. Nothing can exist without the negative and positive. So it's like when people go, I've heard it for years, "Oh, I'd love world peace." I'm like, fuck, it's never going to happen. No. We're only going to find balance. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, we can only achieve balance.
Yeah, but what's peace anyway? Because peace is something different for everybody. Peace for me is screaming down the highway in my motorcycle. It's very freaking loud. Peace for one of my friends is reading a book quietly. So, yeah, we can get world peace, but we kind of already got that. We just need to embrace what we love about our quiet time. So we've already got world peace. It just means something different for everybody.
And as you were taught, instead of looking out the window of the doom and gloom, you've got to turn and look towards the sunshine.
Exactly. And it's a conscious decision because we're both on that same bus. Every single day I have an opportunity to look out the shit side. Every single day I have the opportunity to look out the sunny side.
We've all got that, don't we? We've all got that.
And I think we forget because, we spend our first baby years being totally reliant on somebody else for survival. And then some of us, find different ways to continue that on one level or another. And some cultures recommended and it's loved and it's, nurtured, and that's what you do. You look after your husband or the boys in your family for the rest of your life. So it's, I think everybody brings something different to the table, but if you take nothing away from this chat today, I advocate for the evolution of self. So when you have readings with me or spiritual mentoring with me, or you say, okay, let's tap into this, or can you talk to my higher self? It will always be about you, because I don't care about your boyfriends or your girlfriends or the cat down the road. I love them as people, but I want to make sure that you are the very best version of you at the level that you want to be at, and then everything else will naturally fall into place. Because the more I concentrated on me, the better type of people I had. I don't have any abusive people in my life at all. And sometimes I say, excuse me, that's not acceptable here. So you take your bullshit and you go somewhere else. And other times I just have this great big force field around me and the bullshit doesn't even come near me. But it's still a mindset, it's still a choice. It's still something that I have to control.
That's exactly right. And it's all too easy. Like, I find it really easy if I watch TV, that's why I don't own one. The kids own one little one that they play games on. I don't watch TV. I cannot watch TV. I get sucked into this world of crap. And I can't seem to pull myself out of it. For me, I know, because I've got to know myself, and no one else is the same, just like you're not the same as me, I'm not the same as you, that I have to do certain things in order to keep my energy clean. I can't live my life like Jane and Bob and expect to function, because it won't happen. And I know that, and it's okay. So then we accept it, and can't remember where I was going with that then.
I love it when that happened. I love it when that happens, because it means our minds are going so fast. I'm sure that's what it means.
So when I did your pre-interview, that kept happening?
Pardon?
I was just saying, like, I was talking to you, but also everyone else that's watching. When I did Johnita's pre-interview, that kept happening. I would be saying things and I'd be on part, and, and I'm like, oh, it's gone. It's like you're this space holder for healing and letting. So your passion is humans and working with humans, which I think is quite amazing considering what you went through, because as we already established, you could have gone, fuck humans, I'm done with you all. But you didn't.
Oh, I did for a number of years.
Well, you have it now.
No, definitely not.
So could you imagine then what your life would be like if you weren't doing your passion, what you're passionate about, working or helping humans, working with or helping humans?
I've never actually thought about that.
Well, you said that you did say fuck humans at one point, so maybe that's the key there, because I'm convinced that when we try to ignore our passions, our talents, what we're here to do, life doesn't work. It's like walking through mud. It's everything falls apart. And when we force, say, businesses to happen, or we force relationships to happen, or anything like that, everything will fall apart, including yourself trying to make this happen. But when we're living with passion and what we enjoy doing and what we're here to do, not everything's perfect. That's not what I'm saying, because we have to have the yin and the yang, as we said, but everything sort of flows and works a lot easier.
Yeah.
And we feel a lot better.
We do. I think the fuck you humans came in because in abusive relationships, they isolate you. So I had a lot of time to myself in those relationships, because you're not allowed to have friends. If you do have friends, they get shagged or they find ways to create animosity between you and your friends, or you're not allowed to go anywhere. And it's very abusive. So, and I had, 3 of those relationships, plus, growing up that way where you weren't allowed to have friends over and all that sort of stuff. So I think the fuck you humans were that moment when I was saying, well, at what point, what is love, first of all? Am I capable of it? Because so far, all I've seen is love is associated with nastiness and cruelty and abuse.
Yeah.
And really, that when you grow up like that and you only see that and you attract that to you, you think that that's what life is all about. So it's a conscious decision for you to want more that steps you away from that conditioning. So I was about 34, I suppose, when I learned about self-nurturing, because I was really good at nurturing others, really good at doing that. And I'm the friend that you want on your side in the bar fight, or to fix something, resolve an issue, fix your car, whatever. I'm that friend. I will always do that. It's a very solution-based person. But when it came to self-nurturing, I sucked at it, absolutely sucked at it. And I suppose the fuck you human stage for me was not having any of those people around me. No one wanted to be my friend. And why wasn't I worthy of having friends? Why wasn't I worthy of having a decent relationship, or people that love me around me? So I suppose I did all that fuck you human stuff there, but I never did it in my business, because the business was, for me, was, how can I take all of my lessons and help you so you don't make the same mistakes, or you don't go to the same path, or that all the tools I've had to learn the hard way I can give to you, so you can take from that toolbox what you need to, so your quality of life gets there quicker than it took me to get to mine. So I don't always have, I think it's because when you know what humans are capable of, and you see the horrible side of humans continuously and consistently for a very long time, you'll always be cautious of humans. And I think that's why my spiritual medium stuff and the spiritual mentoring and the Dear Human letters and everything that I do, I think that's why it comes so easily for me, because I 100% trust spirit. So, but the more I'm getting to that point where I'm understanding myself on a deeper level, and what I mean by that is I'm very divine masculine, and I'm starting to play with my divine feminine, and I'll pull it out and play with it a bit like Cabbage Patch, and then put it away again, because it's a feeling thing. Logic and masculine brain is all about getting things done, getting results. At no point do I feel the emotion associated with that result. So divine feminine is teaching me how to get that emotional attachment to that result. I have never had any emotional attachment to anything, because that way it's not going to rip me apart when it's not there anymore, or when it be cruel to me, or when it's unkind to me, and all those abusive things that I've been taught. So slowly those barriers are actually starting to come down. So I'm in a very powerful place as far as that's concerned, because the more that happens, the more I'm actually allowing people into my private space.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a pretty and that's a big thing for me, because I can waffle with the best of them for hours on end, and I'm quite comfortable in front of big crowds and doing my thing. But letting people into the deeper recesses of my soul, that's where I struggle.
And that's fair enough. But as you're on the healing journey, then I don't know, I just think you've overcome so much. And you're still moving forward now. And I don't even have words for that, really.
Well, I can't moonwalk, so I don't really have a choice.
That's true. We just keep going on, don't we?
Yeah.
I do want to quickly apologize about me running around before. My computer started flashing. It was going flat. I forgot to plug it in, so I'm sorry. And then the microphone fell, so I nearly deafened everyone. And hooray for extra editing for me.
You know what? Well done. You've actually just stepped into the tech world of what I normally deliver. So it's all good.
Yeah. So you run your business in Melbourne, then helping other people. Do you call it a business?
Sydney. Yep.
Sydney? Why did I say Melbourne?
I don't know. Don't you jinx me. Although Bendigo has a really good fudge shop. And some beautiful people that are watching are from Melbourne.
Yes. So we have Janelle Page says hello, and Kel from YouTube. She's watching. YouTube's working. Hooray. Jess, is it Answorth?
Answorth.
I haven't got my contact lenses in, so I can't read it.
or Finny, I think. And then Erin Flo, thank you. And Kylie Walker's here too. Hi, girls.
Hello, everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments.
Definitely.
What was I going to say next? I just want to hear more and more and more.
Can I flip this interview? What made you do the Passion Project?
Oh, you didn't watch episode 10. That was all about me. So what made me? I'll try and make this really quick because this is yours. Probably I'm going to have to go back to being a child. So I was, I love my parents now, but I had to do a lot of healing around there. There was alcohol, there was abuse, there was lots of stuff there. And that was from the dad. And then the non-emotional mum was very detached. Anyway, but you know, they had goals and they wanted to own their own home. That's about it. So what they did is they'd go to work and they would pay the bills and they'd come home and they'd put us in babysitters or not when we got to a certain age. I stopped doing that as well. And as I said, I love mum and dad. I've done a lot of healing around that. But I remember watching my parents do this, right? And they didn't have any real hobbies. Like my mum knitted and my dad played in the garden, but everyone has to cut their lawn. So it didn't really make sense to me. And I've seen a few other people doing the same thing. And then as a child, I also seen a lot of women, particularly older women and women my mum's age, that their goals were to get married, have children, raise the children, and through doing that, losing a sense of self. And I remember even as it's been so angry because of everything that was going on, but also lost and thinking, God, and the way the older me would word it is, this isn't fucking right. Something is missing. Okay, so then I was really, really badly bullied as well. So we hit high school where it got even worse. All I ever tried to do was fit in and be accepted. So I quite literally did anything and everything I could to make people like me, including giving my whole self away. That worked for a while. I ended up getting boyfriends eventually, like once I was out of high school, because I was quite overweight as well. So I had other stuff going on. Then that worked right up until I was 28. I'd been divorced for a couple of years. Then I ended up with a complete nervous breakdown and psychotic depression. And Jessica was stripped of everything, including her own mental health. I found myself without my children and locked in a psychiatric unit. So then it was time to keep spiraling down because I was halfway down the hole as already. I might as well keep on going.
See what's down there.
Yeah. And then it was a few years of finding myself again. And what I've learned within that is that in being able to having the opportunity to build myself back up was that I never was me. I had my psychic gifts that I was born with, clairvoyant, or the whole bit that I shut down very quickly when I was young because that wasn't accepted either. So it was all about becoming me, finding me, and what I like to do. And so I did all that, and I've had more children, and I'm very good with boundaries. Relationships don't last many longer than 3 years before they do something, and I'm like, no, this isn't it anymore. And I have always been a very passionate person. So then I read a book. I went to go visit my friend Kel up in Mackay. She gave me this book called Light is the New Black. And she goes, listen, it's really easy reading. It's everything we already know, but I think, you need to read it. She goes, we always talk about this stuff, but you need to read it. I'm like, okay. Because I also run a business. So I'm a Reiki master and I was doing readings, all that sort of stuff. Mind you, I'm still only halfway through this book, right? But it sent me on a path of finding out what my passion was. And over this time, I've put together that passion is so important because it brings light to a sometimes very dark world. It helps us focus on that sunshine. We are finding our purpose. We're in service to ourselves while we're in service to others. Anxiety and depression won't set in the way I experienced it if I was living my true authentic self and what I'm here to do with my passion. Yep. And life just feels good. Yep. So now that I went through all that to work all that out, I've also understand that unlike my beautiful, crazy, talented daughter who is extremely talented when it comes to writing, singing, playing the guitar, digital art, like it is ridiculous. You give this kid something and she'll turn it into art. It's, my cousin, you give him any sort of a ball on a bat and he will become almost pro at that sport. Like it's just, and for people like that, it's really, really easy, isn't it? That's what they're good at. That's what they love doing and they're going to do it. And then I was like, okay, so this is a really strong component of what's going to bring light to our world and have us in service and on purpose and things like that. But yet it's so fucking hard for some of us to find. Yeah. we need to spread this, because some people don't have it so easily, but everybody is talented and gifted, and everyone has something that makes them light up. Yep. And it's important for them and everyone else that they be living this. So let's do this. Actually, I went live with a friend one night, Kel, the errant flow. And I was like, I loved going live. And I've followed what feels good, but then I've put the pieces together in the last month or two as to why I'm doing it. And I just want other people I want to showcase people that are living with passion, but I also want to inspire other people to maybe find theirs and understand that just because you don't have something like you're a really good dancer or you're a really good singer or you're a fantastic artist of some sort or an actor, it doesn't mean you're not talented or you're not here to do amazing stuff, because we all are. And it's a feeling. So living life with passion is a feeling, I've learned as well.
I listened to a meditation talk, and I don't even know why. I was on Insight Timer, and I had like 45 minutes to kill, and I just thought, I don't want to do anything. I'm just going to lay on my butt. And I know, I've got this little app. I'll have a little looky in there. And I listened to this conversation between a husband and a wife, and it was really interesting because they were talking about how to measure success. And success for me is an umbrella term. So what successful means to me and what successful means to you and everybody else watching could be entirely different. And the way this husband and wife explained it was that a man deemed himself unsuccessful because he only taught one student everything he knew for his entire life, and then he passed away. The man passed away. And the man said, it's just a measure of success. And the student took all of those learnings, and he had a different personality, and he had different upbringing, and he had different experiences and different mindset and everything. But he took all those learnings and he wrote a book. And that book went to the bestseller. And then that best-selling book went, to talks, TED Talks, that whole analogy, those learnings that this one student is now 3 million people following his stuff. So, it's successful because he only had that one student his entire life, not by normal societal terms. But look what he only had to teach one person. He was extremely fucking successful. He came here, he conquered that shit. He taught one person. And that person picked up that man's entire learnings and taught the rest of the world. So you can't base your success on numbers or on material wealth or how much money you've got in your bank.
Bill and Joe, what they're doing.
Exactly, keeping up with the
feeling and it's yours.
Or whoever we're supposed to be idolizing these days. But you can't do that. And the one thing that I teach women all the time, and this is the big thing that I get a lot, is women will say to me, all I wanted him to do was notice that I looked nice. And I'm like, okay, so you went out to a party and you had a beautiful dress on and your partner never said a word to you about how nice you did. How many other people said that you looked great? Everybody. Everybody said I'd lost weight, I looked fantastic, my high heels were great, my hair looked fantastic. I'm like, okay. So one very insecure guy, possibly insecure, guy, didn't compliment you because he needed to impress you, because he didn't want you to feel confident. Because if you feel confident, you might find somebody else who doesn't mistreat you. That's abuse. And I see this all the time in relationships. And it doesn't mean that if your husband doesn't compliment you, he's being abusive. But if this guy goes out of his way not to fucking compliment you and everybody else is saying how great you look, you've got to listen to the masses sometimes. And I never thought I'd say that. But you do need to listen to everybody else. And I know it's extremely important and you really want that guy to just notice how great your butt looks in those jeans. But sometimes they don't want to do that because out of fear that you might move on to somebody else. So you have to find somebody who's secure within themselves and secure within you and secure within their relationship so that you can butt look spectacular. You need to wear those jeans all the time, babe.
And that's what I've decided. If I ever end up with another partner again, I'm not going to be codependent. I'm going to, and they're not going to be codependent either. Okay. So I'm going to love having time on my own. I'm also going to love being with them just as much, but I'm not going to crave them to come back when they're not around. Does that make sense? I want my cup full and my cup full from me before I start giving to anybody else.
Yeah.
And I want them to be doing the same thing. So to me, that's healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's
oh, no, we cut out. Are you there? Hello?
I worked out towards the end of the relationship was no, but I'm going to give you hope. So you stay at home and wait for me. So he would say things. I would say to him, do you want to go out for tea on Friday night? And he'd go, yeah, maybe. And I'm like, great. And I would look forward to Friday night all week because he would hardly be home. He's always at work, which I found out wasn't true at all. So I would hang out for Friday night, just me and him. Might have just got pizza. It doesn't really matter, but I would hang out for that. And then he wouldn't come home from work. Then he started telling all of his friends because I was saying to him, well, you know, like, I thought we were going out for tea. So in his friends' eyes, I was being a needy person. Then he started telling all his friends that I have dependency issues because all I do is wait at home for him to come home all the time. I'm like, I'm a single mum. I don't wait for you, sunshine. You all but promised that we would go and do these things together, and you haven't turned up. And you've let me down again. But he had convinced everybody that I had dependency issues. So it's really quite interesting. And when I met my husband, I thought, you know, the other three had been controlling, you know, one way or another. You know, the first one used violence, the second one used emotional manipulation, and the third one, it was emotionally unavailable, and the silent treatment and all that sort of stuff. There's still levels of abuse, but different styles of levels of abuse. And when I met my husband, I said to him, you're like, I go to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning. He goes, knock yourself out. I'm not going. And I'm like, bingo. So he used to go in the afternoon. I would go in the mornings. I never got in trouble for being however long I wanted to go to the gym. He was fine with that. And then when I started wanting to go out with my girlfriends, he said, I'll come and get you. I don't know how many times, because I used to drink back then. He'd come and get me. I'd be spastic. Never held my hair out of the way. We had to have a talk about that. But, you know, he would tease me a bit about it. But I never got in trouble for being out with my friends. I never got in trouble for having male friends. And then when I got my motorcycle, I would say to him, okay, babe, I'm going for a ride with the girls. And I'll only be a couple of hours. See you later. And this year in February, my friends and I, there was 4 of us all together, Twisted Sisters. We decided that we were going to go to, well, late last year, we were going to ride our motorcycles down to Victoria. So 1,831 kilometres round trip. No support vehicle. We're going to go by ourselves. We're going to go to Sheila's Shakedown. We're going to have the week of our lives, and we're going to ride on home. All 4 of us have had interesting lives for a whole bunch of reasons, and I won't go into it because it's their life and their privacy, but the powerhouses in these women is admirable, and it will blow your mind. And I was so nervous about going in the bloody bike ride that I actually left my helmet inside. And I thought, oh my God, years ago, I was laughing about it, and I had to ring my husband, who had to come home from work so he could let me in the house so I could get my helmet, right? I had everything else. I just forgot my helmet. I could hear him laughing driving down the street. He pulls in the driveway. He's laughing at me. Years ago, I would have been told I was dumb. I was stupid. What the fuck is wrong with you? You can't go. How many more signs do you need? I would be belittled to the point that I wouldn't go. And instead, my husband said, I love you, have fun, and gave me a big kiss and a cuddle again. Who's already done that? We're still laughing when the bastard drove away. But I jumped on my motorcycle. I had the time of my life. And I learned so much about parking my anxiety, parking the labels that people had put on me. Obviously, if you're deaf, you can't ride a motorcycle, right? Bullshit. Watch me go. And all those sorts of things that people put on you your entire lifetime. And you know, just sitting around the table one night with these women, and I'm listening to the banter and we're teasing each other, and I'm just thinking, you know what? This is a powerhouse of women, and how honored am I to be calling these people my friends. Like, we've been through amazing trauma, amazing lessons, and here we are, 900 kilometers away from home on our motorcycles, fucking loving life. And it was just just one of those iconic moments. And I realized that that's everything that I've been through in my life all came down to those moments where you just look around and your eyes fill up with tears and your heart fills up with smiles and you just go, fuck yeah, this is just what it's all about. And that's exactly how I feel about everything that I do with my humans, everything I do with my business, everything I do with my spiritual work, everything I do in my own life is complete mindset.
Brilliant. And reclaiming your power. Like when I left to go up to Mackay, the end of last year, right? And we were going through floods, fire, and part of a pandemic. We didn't get back here to April, just before we were told we wouldn't have been allowed back in.
Wow.
Till now, right?
The skinny baby.
I had a baby in September last year. And I was like, that's it. I said, because I've got 2 other children. I've got a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old as well. And I said to everyone, I'm like, I am not having any visitors. No one's going to meet this baby for a month. I'm in lockdown for a month. I'm going to do it different this time. I'm not going to have postnatal depression. I'm convinced that postnatal depression is not natural, nor is it normal. I'm not going to put that pressure on myself. I'm going to go back and I'm going to recoup. I'm going to bond with my baby and bond with my other 2 children because we were on our own. And it worked. Yep. But I came out of this recuperation time with itchy feet going, oh, I've always wanted to travel. So, all of a sudden I bought a $700 car because my little car couldn't tow a caravan. I bought a $1,700 caravan and everyone I spoke to said, you cannot travel that far with them. And I'm like, watch me.
That's it. I love the watch me.
And I did. I drove from here to 2 days before Christmas, hit Canberra the day before Christmas. We got to Canberra, that's 14 hours. Then we ended up leaving Canberra and we made our way up to Mackay. Then we even, on a road trip, 1-day trip, went to Airlie Beach, never go there again.
Yeah.
And come back to Mackay again. And, we spent a month in the Northern Rivers, Nelly, on our way back down because we got flooded in there. So I thought, let's run to Nimbin. No better place to get stuck than Nimbin, especially with the dreads and everything, But it was, and by the time I got back here, I stopped hearing. I was empowered anyway. I was like, I can do this, and I did it. But by the time I got back here, and because I had stepped into my own power and I didn't need anyone else's approval.
No.
Because I was going to do it anyway. Yeah. People had turned around and said, I am so proud of you. My dad had, my mum had, people I didn't think would say it did. And I was like,
yeah.
Cool.
And the thing, my husband not once said to me, my husband actually bought my motorcycle for me before I even had my motorcycle license. I found this beautiful green Harley Davidson and I said, oh my God, that is my dream bike. Like that is just beautiful. And thought nothing of it. I didn't have my road license. And a couple of months later, whenever it was, he comes up to me, flicks his phone at me, and there's this beautiful, and I'm actually talking to somebody on my phone, and there's this beautiful picture of this Harley Davidson, exactly the green I wanted, exactly the model that I wanted. And he's mumbled something, and I've only got one ear, right? So when my phone's on it, I can't hear anything else. And he's mumbled something and off he toddled, and come back a little while later when I finished my phone call, and he said, did you hear what I said? And I'm like, what have I agreed to? Yeah, I'll agree. I'll just say yes to anything, work it out later. And he said, it's yours. And I thought that he was pranking me. And I started to cry because I thought, oh my God, he'd never lied to me, right? So I'm thinking he's legit. And I can feel my tears coming up now. And he had bought me this Street 500 and it was a learner's bike. So even though it's a Harley, you're allowed to learn how to ride a motorcycle on it. And we went down, and because I didn't even have my learners, he had to ride it home for me. And it's built for little people, okay? So, and my man is a giant man. So he looked adorable on it. It looked like a big kid on a little tiny Vespa. And he rides his motorbike home for me, and then I went and got my license. And it's just, he chucked me out of a plane for my 40th, I think, 42nd, 41st birthday, because everyone said to me, because I have a hearing loss, that the cabin pressure would build up. And when I fly commercially, it does build up and I have to manually decompress. Otherwise, it's just way too much.
Yeah.
And but he said, you're going skydiving for your birthday, and did a 14,000 foot tandem dive, but it was, oh my God, amazing. So anything that I can think about or want to do, my husband's like, he just gets it for me for my birthday, or he just gives it to me, or whatever, so he doesn't ever hold me back. He doesn't ever concentrate on all the things I'm not supposed to do, or that I can't do, or that I shouldn't do, or anything like that. He just focuses on the things that, fill my heart with pleasure, and that's what happens, and that's what he makes happen for me. So I'm very blessed, very, very blessed.
You are very blessed. That's amazing. And sorry, my phone just started ringing. I have to apologize for that. Which made my computer ring, which made that computer ring. So all three of them were ringing, and now it's ringing again. I don't even know who it is. Anyway, I apologize, everyone. I'll put it on airplane mode. So he supports you in every way. And not only that, he's listening to you as well. So he knows what you want to do just through listening.
Exactly. Well, on our first date, I said to him that I wanted to skydive. So that's 2014. And then I finished up skydiving in 2018. So 4 years.
I used to want to go skydiving. But...
Oh, my God, I loved it. I loved it. It was so peaceful. So peaceful. It's just the most amazing free feeling. It's like you're a birdie. I loved it. I really loved it. I'd do it again.
That's interesting. Maybe I should do that. So when I was younger, I wanted to base jump. I wanted to learn how to do base jumping. And after my heart started skipping beats and that, I've lost my little daredevilness, I guess you'd call it.
Oh.
But I think that's where some of my power now lies as well. So I need to do those things that terrify me.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I think that I threw myself out of a plane in a former life. So because every time I get into a plane, I feel like I need to parachute out of it. I've never feel like I need to walk out of the plane, or that we're going to crash or anything crazy like that. I just feel like I need to, I don't know, I just get these visions of the plane opening out the back and me just getting out like a storm.
Anything to do with the army?
Yeah. No, they won't accept me because of my hearing loss.
No, not in this lifetime. I'm sorry. The images started playing, so I just started seeing stuff. So I just started talking.
Yeah, possibly. Wouldn't surprise me. I'd probably Japanese kamikaze, some of the crazy shit I do. But, yeah. But I just, so when I went up there, and the guy who's like, the most gorgeous looking Spanish guy you've ever seen in your life, right? Just stunning looking boy. And I find out that I'm going to be strapped to this boy. So he thinks he's going to scare me by saying that he's only been doing it for 2 weeks, which is rubbish. He's probably doing it his entire bloody life. And so I get strapped to him. Off we go. Get in the plane. Everything happens. And because I'm quiet, now I'm not quiet because I'm scared, but he thinks I'm shitting my pants. And he looks over to the pilot, and because I lip read, and he says to the pilot, I don't think she's going to go. And I'm like, you're an idiot. I'm going. Like, I didn't feel the need to talk. I didn't feel the need to do anything up in that plane while we were waiting to jump out, other than to just embrace the moment and be totally present in everything that was going on. And it was just the most amazing thing I've ever done in my life. And he was convinced that I wouldn't go, and it was actually me that gave the push off. So he was quite surprised when we got to the bottom. But I was like, let's go. I loved it. It's like I'd been doing it my entire life. It was just very calm. Like my heart wasn't even beating out of my chest or anything. I just loved it. It was absolutely awesome. Yeah.
Oh, see, I start feeling sick just listening to that story. I'm like, anyway.
Like I'm thinking about going, thanks for coming, Jess, and going and saying to my husband, it's been a little while since I've skydived.
Hey, why not? Why not? When we all come out of, well, you're not even in lockdown, luckily enough.
No.
Is there any advice before we finish up on that you would give anyone that's looking for themselves? I'll just leave it up to you. Doesn't matter about what. Any advice you'd give anybody?
Look, I think that we need to remember that we're all born as beautiful little shiny lights, right? And then life happens and things happen and walls go up and veils go up and curtains go up, and we're still that little light. It's just that we've got all these barriers. So the spiritual growth, the learning growth, the who am I growth, that comes when you undo all the fuckery. You don't supposed to have the answers. You're not supposed to know who you are. when you first start out on this journey. You're not going to wake up one day and go, oh, I get this now. Okay. You will eventually. Absolutely. But by that time you'll think, but what about, and it'll be a constant learning thing. And that is the best part about this journey. But just because life happened and you had all this fuckery doesn't mean that your candle is not there. Your shining, beautiful light is not there. It just means that you've had to hide it to protect it so it can still shine brightly for those moments that all the veils come undone. And then, you've got this beautiful big light that you're ready to embrace the world. And it comes with heart walls, it comes with chakras, it comes with all sorts of things. And, the best thing about being me is that I can tap into anybody at any point, anywhere in the world, easily and effortlessly every single time, because I trust spirit 100%, and I can pinpoint where somebody is in their life and I can help them through that. So if you're stuck, sing out, I'm the man for the job. If you're needing to just start on your journey, you don't know where to go, sing out, I can help you with that. If you're almost there and you're convinced that you're almost there and you just need a little bit of tweak like I needed with the astrotherapy, I can help you with that too. So there is nothing off limits. There's nothing embarrassing. There's nothing shameful. There's nothing that you will be judged for. There is nothing but absolute, total, 100% acceptance of exactly who you are right now in this moment, and that I have so much pride and respect and admiration that you have decided to take that step. So I don't give a fuck where you are in your life. I don't give a fuck about where you've come from. I only give a fuck about who you are right now in this moment and where we're going to go with that. And that is all there is for me.
That's right. And in case, because then this goes to the podcast, blah blah blah. We'll leave if you're okay with it, we'll leave your website and all your contact details on the Facebook page, on Instagram, and also in the show notes for the podcast.
That would be awesome. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really enjoyed it. It was great, and just you're so easy to talk to and so real and down to earth.
Yeah.
Thank you for being you.
Charm, isn't it?
Thank you for being you. And thank you for everyone else that joined us. If you would like to get email updates to when the podcast is going to drop or each episode, you can go to thepassionprojectwithjess.com, and at the bottom there you can hit, I think it's episode updates, and that way you'll get links so you don't have to rely on Facebook and whatever else to give you notifications, because without paying they suck. And get it direct to your inbox.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you very much for having me. Thanks.
Thank you, Johnita. I really enjoyed it.
No worries. Bye,
Take
guys.
care. Lots of love, everyone. See you all next week or maybe the week after.